we're going to go ahead and الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, welcome to our second session of our Ramadan Refresher, where we discuss aspects of Ramadan where we can, once Ramadan begins, we are fully. Tonight, our Imam Khan is presenting the topic, and so I just want to remind everyone that Sunday, this Sunday, between Maghrib and Isha, we will have a held by Abdul Salam, Charitable Women. I will go ahead and hand it over to our Imam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Can everybody give the thumbs up or okay if you can hear me? Making sure that the audio and the internet quality is good. Sister Yusra, Sister Manur. All right, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Can you give me permission to share my screen, Rahman?
Yes, just a second. Okay, you should be able to.
Perfect. All right. Go ahead and share. All right, let's go ahead and start this. One second. All right. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. This is session 2 of Ramadan Refresh. Inshallah, we'll get started. We have some Quran recitation later on in the slides, so we'll just inshallah use that for the recitation that we will begin our session with. I wanted to start with some logistics and housekeeping. So again, today session 2 of 4. As far as session 1, this was last week, and the slides for this are on this link in our website. So basically, you'd go to ica-co.org, click on the Khutbah Media page, and then select Ramadan Refresher Session 1. That's where the slides are for that. The video is on this YouTube link. So that was already shared by Sister Linda and others earlier today. So inshallah, if you have not had that chance, please go ahead and click on that in your free time after our session today. So we know that clocks are moving forward on Sunday. So I wanted to see if everybody's okay with this time between Maghrib and Isha. If so, can I get a thumbs up again on that? So Abdul Rahman, how's it looking? I can't see the chat.
We have 2 thumbs up.
Okay. I think inshallah we'll probably keep that time just so that it stays consistent. So basically what's going to happen is inshallah next week we're going to meet on Zoom, but I'm still going to try to present from the masjid. And then on the 25th, we're going to, inshallah, meet in person, and we're going to try to have refreshments as well. That's going to be the last Friday before, the last confirmed Friday, inshallah, before Ramadan, because Ramadan could start as early as the night of, I believe it's going to be the 1st. So that's one thing I wanted to make sure of. In the slides, anything that is marked private should be kept private, but this is just meant to be a rhetorical question. You can write your own answers, but don't share with others. Anything else marked with an asterisk is homework to share answers and improvements in the next session. There's one more thing about logistics. So I wanted to talk about this sheet that's going to be called My Ramadan Action Plan. So I want everyone to open up a notepad or any other related app in which you can go ahead and make your plan. It's going to be one page with inshallah 10 bullet points. And basically, we need to learn to write short action sentences. So we'll do a little bit of a refresher here. All right. So for example, today, let's say that this is my sentence that I want to use to shorten. The sentence is, today I want to get my car fixed so I can go on that long road trip to San Francisco. Right. So if you have any suggestions to make it shorter, please place it here in the chat. Hey, Abdurrahman, are people allowed to chat? Can you ensure that the chat feature is allowed for everyone?
The chat is permitted for everyone.
Okay, I'm not seeing anyone typing here. Okay, Samir said salam. Walaikum salam, Samir. All right, so again, a quick assignment. All right, we need to shorten the sentence. The sentence again is, today I want to get my car fixed so I can go on that long road trip to San Francisco. Good, very good. I can see some responses now. Sister Manur said, get car fixed. I'm fixing my car to drive to San Francisco. Brother Faisal said, I will get my car fixed today. Great. So it should look something like this. Fixed car today for San Francisco road trip. Clear, right? I mean, it's concise. It's an action verb and it gets the point across. Jazakumullah khair. So inshallah, that's what I want to see for the upcoming active actions that we will be putting in our My Ramadan action plan. So what we'll do is we'll put some action plans or put some points in the action plan together, and we'll review that plan at the end of today's session, inshallah. Recapping session 1, our intention for Ramadan should be, does anyone remember? If you do, please put it here in the chat. All right, I remember that there was I can recall that there was at least one brother who was in our session last time. Not going to call you up, but you already chatted, so you know who you are. If you don't remember, that's fine. The intention for Ramadan is that we should come out of the month of Ramadan with increased iman through a deeper connection with the Quran. Inshallah, with this increased iman and deeper connection with the Quran, we will have our spirits fueled, and we'll gain a closer connection with and an increased consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the next 11 months. Right? So our goal, our intention or niyyah for Ramadan is to get closer to Allah in this month, so we can use it to fuel our iman for the next 11 months till the next Ramadan bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Okay. The ayah that we will be covering is Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 35. And last time we stopped at the first characteristic, which is the Muslim. So inshallah, we'll start with this recitation. بعد نقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. Which translates from close to meaning to, surely for the Muslim men and women, believing men and women, devout men and women, truthful men and women, patient men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women who guard their chastity, and men and women who remember Allah often. For all of them, Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward. And we had some tips from last week to be better Muslim men and women. So this was number 1, to read La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, meaning there is no God except Allah and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, multiple times a day. And again, that's a count that is custom tailored to you. So if you think it's easier for you to, or for me to only say it 3 times a day, that can be done. If we can do that more often, inshallah, we get more rewards for that. When we make wudu for salah, we should pray for our sins to be washed. When we are getting ready to pray, let's limit our distractions. And when we are praying, we should again try to count how many times the term Rabb is recited. Remember that when we are in our graves, we are going to be asked, who is our Rabb? So when we are saying the word Rabb in our salah, let's picture that experience, right? Let's see what else. So again, as far as being a better Muslim and women, we're just covering what it means to be a Muslim, right? So the next, of course, is to give the Zakah, which is the mandatory 2.5% of our annual income. And since we're in the month of Sha'ban, I encourage myself first and everyone else to fast voluntary fasts in this month, at least Monday and Thursday when possible. If we have not yet performed Hajj, let's plan on doing so. And if we have performed it, let's plan to make Hajj again or sponsor the Hajj of someone who is more deserving than us. So here's classwork, right? So let's create a My Ramadan action plan for Ramadan based on what we learned from the 10 points or from the 10 groups of people from this ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab, right? The first one was, again, the Muslims. And that'll be the first of 10 bullet points, right? So again, using the action verbs that we practiced a few minutes ago, this could be one of them, which is become better Muslim by reciting Shahada repeatedly, pray for sins to be washed, and to better relate with their term Rabbi, meaning my master, pay zakat, and plan to go to Hajj if not already having gone previously. All right. So we'll use the same template from the first to phrase the second and forward bullet points. All right, let's cover, or let's talk about the groups that we'll be covering today. It's going to be the believing men and women. So first was the Muslim men and women. The second is the believing men and women. Third is devout men and women. Number 4 is truthful men and women. Number 4 for you in total. Number 3 for today is truthful men and women. Number 4 is humble men and women. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. Number 5 is charitable men and women. So last week we started to cover the Hadith al-Nawawi, which talks about Islam versus Iman versus Ihsan. Inshallah. So what I did was I actually broke this Hadith up into a table so it's easier to see. So to be a Muslim is to testify that there is no deity except Allah, and that Muhammad is Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that we should perform salah, pay zakah, fast during Ramadan, and perform Hajj. So we covered the action sentence for that, right? And this includes outwardly acts like shahada, prayer, zakat, fasting, and Hajj. And this is, if we were to look at one verb for this, this would be acceptance of Islam, that that we testify and we accept that there is no God except Allah and Muhammad is His messenger, and then we do the actions that are tied to this. And we've already covered the improvement tips for this. Next is Iman or Mu'min, right? So this means that we have a firm belief in Allah and His angels and His books and His messengers in the last day, and in Qadr, meaning fate, in both its good and its evil aspects. So if we were to expand on this, it would be the inwardly intellectual foundations of our faith, our perceptions of Allah, of God, and the hereafter and the unseen. So if we think about it, as far as again a one verb or a few words to describe this, Islam would be acceptance. A person can accept but not be completely convinced. Conviction is Iman, right? So we all hope to have conviction in our beliefs, and one way to improve on this is to learn the names of Allah and their meanings, and to personify those meanings, and to ask Allah through His names when making dua. Ihsan, which is the third column in the table, it is that we should worship Allah as if we see Him, as if we can see Him, and even though we cannot see Him, we should remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing us. And this should lead us to increase the excellence and the quality of our testimony, belief, and our actions. And again, just a short term to describe Ihsan, it would be to increase the pursuit of excellence in our speech, in faith, and action. So some tips to improve our Ihsan is to basically ask ourselves before any action, because Allah is watching me, should I be doing this or not? Right? So sometimes people have intentions for the sake of people, right? So a person could be praying long salah in the masjid and their niyyah should be for the sake of Allah, but it's possible that they get tempted and they want to show off to people that they're praying, so that, oh, so and so prays, and this person is reliable, or whatever. And we always want to make sure that our niyyah is only and only for the sake of Allah. Any questions so far? If you have any, please type them in the chat. My goal, inshallah, is to cover them after we have covered all of these groups of people. My goal, inshallah, also is to have our entire session wrapped up by Isha, which is around 7:20. It's 6:40 now, so we have 40 minutes. Inshallah, I think we should be on time. But if you have any questions, inshallah, please pose them in the chat so we can definitely track them. I'll give you about another 10 seconds to pose questions, and we'll continue on to devout men and devout women. Okay, can everybody still hear me? If so, please chat in the room, in the chat. All right, the president can hear me, great. Sister Yusra can hear me, Brother Faisal, good. All right, so I didn't get any questions, so I think it's fair to say that there are no questions so far. Is that correct?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
So I have a question, but I don't know where to type it. What is the most important amal or deed a devout man or woman can do in Sha'ban?
Well, we'll cover that, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, inshallah. All right, so being devout comes from an increased appreciation and awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through iman and ihsan. The following hadith summarizes devoutness or devotion. Abu Dhar reported, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Fear Allah wherever you are, follow a bad deed with a good deed, and it will erase it," meaning the good deed will erase the bad deed. "And behave with good character towards people." This is in Sunan at-Tirmidhi, and this is Sahih according to at-Tirmidhi. So always be conscious of Allah, ittaqillaha haythuma kunt, right? So this will help guide our decisions. So this will be the thought process for ihsan, as I covered in the previous slide, right? And when we make mistakes or commit sins out of weakness, we should follow them up with good deeds. And we know in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Hud, "Innal hasanati yudhibna sayyi'at," which basically means absolutely the good deeds erase or replace the bad deeds. And treat people with good character. Now, this hadith in and of itself can be multiple khutbahs, but since of course we have a lot of topics to cover, inshallah, we'll cover all of the details of this hadith at a later time. The devout Muslim man, and since we're talking about men and women, right? So inshallah, we'll try to cover aspects from both genders. So the devout Muslim man knows what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects of him. Some of these expectations include how to gain a deeper connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a Muslim man. A Muslim man should know how to make dua properly, how to turn to Allah in times of need and in times of happiness. One of the mistakes that a lot of us are prone to is that we only turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when things are going bad. However, that should not be the case. We should thank Allah for His blessings when times are good, and we should seek a deeper connection with Him, so that when things do go bad, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has our back and is going to fully take care of us. For Muslim men, now alhamdulillah that COVID seems to be declining, our presence at the masjid should be increasing. We should have basic knowledge of how to lead the salah. We should have basic knowledge of the rules of Islam pertinent to men, such as tahara, najasa, means of income, and modesty in person and in the digital realm. We know that a lot of people, including Muslims, unfortunately, fall victim to being devout in person. And then if you see their profiles for social media online, you can't believe it's the same person. So we have to be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us and maintain a consistent personality in person and online. We should develop basic characteristics of chivalry and etiquette. We should research methods of serving the community as a devout Muslim man. Going on to devout Muslim women. The devout Muslim woman knows what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects of her, and some of these expectations are, again, how to gain a deeper connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a devout Muslim woman. Basic knowledge of the rules of Islam pertinent to women, which include, again, tahara, najasa, means of income, modesty, again, in person and in the digital realm. What a sister can or cannot do during times of impurity. Research methods of serving the community as a devout Muslim woman. So in summary, devout men and women are always looking to improve their connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, looking to increase their good deeds and reduce their bad ones, and continue to improve their relationships with others. Now, I know there was a question, inshallah, I'll try to have that answered, as I said, before Isha, and if I do not know the answer, inshallah, I will research it and inshallah get back to you next week. Some tips to be more devout men and women. Ask ourselves, will my choice please Allah? Again, this goes back to the slide on Ihsan covered earlier. Let's remind ourselves that when we do mess up, we admit to Allah, Ya Allah, I messed up. Let me do something good right now to replace that bad deed. Choose the best course of speech and action. We should carefully examine all situations, right? So this would be, again, a good example of ittaqillah haythama kunt, meaning be conscious or fear Allah in wherever you are, in whatever situation you are. Sometimes silence is the best option. So we should keep that in mind. We might be engaged or forced to engage in a situation where we're forced into a debate. And if we are not reading the room properly, meaning if we're not aware of the intention of the debate, then we get lured into discussions with people or on topics that we might not be well versed in, and mistakenly make a statement about Islam or Allah that we're not qualified to make. So in that case, if we don't know something, we should admit that we don't know, and we can say, please refer to the Quran or Sunnah, or please refer to a more qualified sheikh who might be able to answer that question. So here's classwork. List no more than 2 steps to increase or build devoutness or devotion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll give you guys about 2 minutes to do that. And of course, these should be included in my Ramadan action plan. And when you're done, you can say down in the chat room. All right, is everyone done? If you are, please type yes in the chat room. Sister Yusra says yes, Jazakallah khair. Sister Manur also says yes. Okay. Go ahead and share your 2 steps to increase your devoutness and devotion, inshallah. We'll talk about that real quick. So please type that in the chat if you're done. Okay, the first one is remembrance of Allah, being careful with our words and being truthful. Okay, so I would probably want to say remember Allah because it has to be a verb, like an action verb. So remembrance is a noun. So the reason I want to stress a verb is something that I can do or you can do. Remembrance of Allah becomes a little bit passive. But Jazakallah khair for sharing that. Anybody else? So inshallah, we have to move on to the next one. Truthful men and women. So let's quickly cover 3 ayat. Actually, Sister Linda, I will come back to yours inshallah. But Jazakallah khair for sharing. So the 3 ayat about being truthful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 119, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ittaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. O believers, be mindful of Allah and be with the truthful. What is the significance of the term O believers, or O you who believe? So this usually precedes something very important, right? So whatever comes after that is a command from Allah and must be followed. So the ayah commands us to be with the truthful, meaning that our truthfulness should be, should follow in all of our actions and speech, right? So the question then asks, can we say one thing and do the opposite of it? Of course, the answer is no, right? So, if we go with the Quran, this is answered in the following 2 ayahs from Surah As-Saff, ayahs 2 and 3, in which Allah Azza wa Jalla says, بَعْدَ نَقُولَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ, which translates in closest meaning to, O believers, why do you say what you do not do? How despicable it is in the sight of Allah that you say what you do not do. Okay, so the tips on this to be truthful is to let's speak and act truthfully, right? So integrity is by words and actions. Only commit to what we know we can deliver. All right, this is a term that I've seen in the software world abused, right? So people always have the tendency to say that we'll deliver 5 objects, for example, and they're only able to do 3 properly, right? So I have noticed that all honesty and truthfulness in all actions of life, not only with just deen, but in dunya as well, help us to gain integrity and maintain it. So if you know that you can only do 3 tasks in 1 week, then say, I will do my best to do 3 tasks in 1 week, and don't overcommit. Honor our commitments, and if we cannot honor them for some reason, kindly ask for forgiveness and look for ways to make up those commitments. So again, coming back to work, right? So if we say that we can do 4 things in 1 week, but we only do 3, and we must say, okay, something came up, I got sick, there was a death in the family, for example, right? So we can say, I apologize that I overcommitted, but this was the best I can do, and inshallah, I will try to honor this as soon as possible in the best of quality. Right, so these are 3 tips, inshallah, that we can use for this. I will take a break here. Once we cover these tips, I know Sister Linda, Brother Faisal, and Brother Hamza already had tips to share for the previous slide, which was about being devout men and women. So we'll cover those along with classwork for being truthful men and women. So I'll inshallah give everyone 5 minutes. It is now 6:54 according to my clock. Let's say 6:59. Inshallah, we'll cover those. So in that time, please share your tips for being truthful men and women, and we'll also cover them within that 5-minute span. So inshallah, we'll give you the 5 minutes now. And if you're done, please go ahead and share it in the chat. So while I'm waiting for that, great job, Sister Crystal. Yes, taking accountability for actions rather than making excuses. Great. What I want to do is kind of go over the previous three. So those, like for example, set up specific times to read Quran and complete it. That's actually going to be part of a daily plan, right? So the Ramadan action plan is kind of just like an outline, right? So if I were to use this in sports terms, right? So there's a thing called a playbook. It tells you, you know, if the defense is looking this way, then you should run the ball instead of passing the ball, right? So that's going to be the overall playbook, like for example, defense or offense or special teams, right? But so that's going to be the Ramadan action plan. But what we inshallah will cover next session will be a daily plan, right? And that daily plan is going to have these specific actions, like praying on time, understanding more Quran, remembering Allah, and reading as much Quran as possible. So that's more specific to that daily action plan. But right now it's just like verbs, right? Take accountability, for example, right? So that is an action verb. That's great. And if we go back to the ones from before, like for example, fix my car, right? So that's just, now how to fix it, that's going to be the actual daily action plan, or you know, daily plan that we'll be covering inshallah next week. But good answers, mashallah. You guys are thinking along the right terms, so jazakumullah khair, but I do want to kind of separate the theme from the actual action. All right, it is 6:57, so inshallah 2 more minutes. Anybody else with an action plan on being truthful? Inshallah, 1 more minute and we'll go ahead and start the next slide. Okay, great one from our brother Faisal. Don't speak until I 100% know the situation. Yes. Like mentioned in the lecture, I only commit to things I can deliver. Great. Yep. This will help you be truthful. Brother Rahman says, admit my mistakes to Allah and actively work to rectify them. Not commit them again. Great. Yep, these are great. Jazakumullah khair. MashaAllah. Awesome. All right, it is 6:59, so let's move on to the next group of people to cover. These are humble men and women. And I want to start off by saying that the translation used in the ayah of khashi'in and khashi'at is like the translation is it's meant to imply, it's actually very broadly used, right? So I want to make sure that I cover this as clearly as possible. So the term khashi' is meant to imply someone who is sincerely aware of their situation, especially when it comes to salah. Right, when we are in salat and are aware that we are praying in front of and talking to our master Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are humbled before his presence, and we do not allow other distractions to take us away from observing the magnificence of his presence. Right, so it basically means that we do our best to have concentration in salah when it comes to khushu' in salah. So a pious predecessor was in a jungle praying, and a lion appeared in front of him. All right, so I want you to visualize this and not just me reading it, right? So put yourself in this situation. right? So let's say that we're out hiking somewhere in the forest, and it's time to pray Asr, and you're praying Asr, and then you hear the roar of a lion, right? And then as you're making ruku, for example, you can actually see claws walking towards you. And actually not claws, paws, sorry. Lion paws walking towards you. So this pious predecessor continued his salah. And his companions asked him after the situation was clear, why did you not leave your salah when this beast was in front of you? And his answer was, how can I dishonor my master by running away? Allahu Akbar. Right? So of course, this is an extreme example. And yes, in salah, if there is a life-threatening situation, we're allowed to leave our salah and return to it in a safer time and space. But just think of the concentration and awareness that this person had, that he was worried about his presence with Allah, who is the absolute greatest, versus the presence of a beast that could kill him. Right? So our khushu or concentration and presence or self-awareness in salah should always be in a state of constant improvement. Right? So we should, inshallah, work towards this. It should be, as is said in a commercial of a car company, you know, the persistent pursuit of excellence. Right? Of course, again, talking about humility, outside of salah, we should be humble in character, right? And we should remember to not show off, but we should be confident in our abilities as humble men and humble women. Tips for improving khushu in salah. We should enter a mental state of salah once the adhan time comes along, right? So it should be, I better get ready to pray. Like, that's the mindset we should start with. Number two, we should drop our distractions and silence, if possible, our phones completely, right? So not just vibrate, but completely silent. And take 5 minutes to reset our minds between the distracting items and wudu time, right? So right now it's 7:02 and the adhan for Isha is coming in at 7:18, right? So inshallah, what I plan to do is the iqamah for Isha is at the masjid is 10 minutes after adhan. So we'll be praying close to 7:30. Inshallah. So the best thing to do between 7:18 and 7:30 is have our phones silenced, have even this call paused if we're not done by then, and just reset, right? So like silence the phone, in my case, lock my computer and make sure that the volume is completely off, and just like pause for 5 minutes. Okay, I'm getting ready to salli, I'm getting ready to pray. I need to think about that I'm going to be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now. All right, so that means that everything else is paused. When we make wudu, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us gain focus and again to remove distracting thoughts. Right? So if we're making wudu inside the bathroom where the toilet is next to us, of course, then we don't say Bismillah or the name of Allah out loud, but we can still say this in our heart. When we are making wudu, it's good to brush our teeth with toothpaste before salah so our breath smells fresh. If we're fasting, right, there is a difference of opinion. Some scholars say that if we are sure that we're not going to swallow the toothpaste while fasting, then it is allowed to brush our teeth with the toothpaste. And if we cannot control that swallowing aspect, then it's best not to brush with the toothpaste while fasting. When we're praying, we should be sure to put on our best clean clothes, and because we're standing before Allah, right? So if Jeff Bezos or anybody else, any CEO of a Fortune 500 company was to invite us for an interview, right? We wouldn't go dressed in shorts, would we? So similarly, we would make sure that we're best dressed when we're standing in front of our master, who is going to be the master of the day of judgment, the ultimate judge on the day when nothing else will matter except our actions. I'm gonna, inshallah, step away from the neighboring mic. Apologies if you can hear their session. Okay, the next step is this especially for brothers. If you're going to the masjid, take the few extra seconds to put on some cologne. There was a situation where, and I need to call this out, right? So there was a brother that either was or was exposed to the smell of marijuana. And this person's coming to the masjid smelling like that, right? This will cause distractions to the people next to that person, right? So we want to make sure that when you come to the masjid, you smell good, or at least you don't smell dirty, right? When you do come into the masjid with cologne on or itar on, right, you will have, inshallah, done your best to be presentable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, the next step is for brothers, specifically that when we come to the masjid, let's arrive at least 2 minutes before Iqamah to get into the salah mode at the masjid. Sister Linda puts up a very good point, and apologies because this was sent to me directly. But again, and this should be for everyone, that we should wash our clothes regularly, right? Again, coming to salah with clean clothes. And when we come to the masjid, we should avoid showing off. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gave us anything and everything that we have, and He can take it away at any moment. Classwork. Let's add some tips above in one sentence to my Ramadan action plan. Again, this is the playbook, but not the actual plays. So just let's again take a couple of minutes here. And after this, inshallah, we have one more group of people to cover. And then inshallah, we'll be wrapping up for the day with the Q&A. I'm gonna go on mute until it's my turn to speak. Apologies again for the noise. All right, is everyone done? Okay, Brother Faisal says, be more modest with clothing and character, mostly with the gym. Be more humble when I'm speaking about something I know well. Yes, awesome, mashallah, great. Who else? Let's take one more, inshallah, then we'll move on to the last group covered for today. Sister Maliha says, be more intentional with my prayer by setting a 10-minute timer so I can mentally prepare myself and do wudu. Yes, MashaAllah, great. That's a great answer. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to charitable men and women, which is our, I believe, inshallah, this is our last topic for today. Let me confirm that. Yes, because we'll be reviewing after that. Okay. So when we hear the word charity, financial donations come to mind. Unfortunately, this has been overused, and we forget that charity is not only with money, but also with our talents, time, and yes, even a smile. Abu Dhar reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "It's not time yet." No. Sorry about that. Abu Dhar reported the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Smiling in the face of your brother is your charity. Enjoining good and forbidding evil is charity. Guiding a lost man through the land is your charity. Lending your eyesight to a man who cannot see well is your charity. Removing rocks, thorns, and bones from the road is your charity. Pouring your leftovers into the vessel of your brother is your charity." This is in Sunan Tirmidhi, and this is Sahih according to Al-Albani. So this summarizes that one does not have to only be financially rich to be charitable. According to the hadith, simple tasks like smiling, guiding a person to the right destination, and removing dangerous items from their street also count as charity. So some tips to be more charitable: let's follow everything in this hadith. It's very simple. One of the other things that I want to share, especially for Ramadan, is that Launch Good is a platform that works just like GoFundMe, but it's actually built for and by Muslims. The best opportunity I've seen with Launch Good is that they actually you can set up, for example, donations to any charity which Launch Good supports, and you can set an amount. For example, you want to give $10 a month for the whole month of Ramadan. So what they can do is, for example, on day one, they will feed the poor, for example. Day two, contribute towards building a well. Day three, contribute towards clothing, refugees. Day four, mental health support. Day five, right? So like they actually have these charities already worked out, and it just automatically deducts that amount from your money. So every day of Ramadan, you're giving charity, and you don't even have to, if you don't want to, obviously, like you don't have to personally select the charities. Their platform automatically does it for you. You just set the amount daily, and it will deduct that amount from your bank account or your credit card, and it will, inshallah, donate that to charity. So I highly recommend you do that, because one of the things that I wanted to highly encourage is that, again, we do not know if we will live to Ramadan. So that's why we make a dua, Allahumma balighna Ramadan. Ya Allah, give us life into Ramadan, and to make the most of Sha'ban in preparation for Ramadan. Say, for example, you set up this automated charity. I think this is usually available a week before Ramadan, right? So you set it up on the 24th of Sha'ban, for example, and you passed away on the 25th, right? You had intended to donate in Ramadan, but you didn't live long enough to do it. So do you get ajr for this? Absolutely. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows your niyyah, that you wanted to donate in Ramadan, and inshallah, with the expansive mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, we expect the best from him, that he inshallah will reward us with the niyyah that we had to be doing this good deed in the month of Ramadan, when good deeds are multiplied. All right. Using one sentence, add the above tips to my Ramadan action plan to be more charitable. Inshallah, we have 4 minutes before Adhan, so let's inshallah take 2 minutes for this action item, and then we'll recap. All right. I didn't see any responses come through for being charitable women and women, but inshallah, I hope that this slide already gives all the perspectives for that. So inshallah, we'll go ahead and review my Ramadan action plan so far, right? I think alhamdulillah, most people have already shared theirs, but I do see one from Brother Faisal. Give what I want to my brother or sister, even when it's hard for me to do so. Give my time, efforts, and money to serve those in need and better my community. MashaAllah, those are great. But Abdurrahman, if you can unmute Faisal and if you can explain that first point. Give what I want to my brother or sister, even when it's hard for me to do so.
Assalamu alaikum.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Can you explain the first one? Give what I want to my brother or sister, even when it's hard for me to do so.
Sure. So anything I want, it's kind of self-explanatory in my mind, but anything I want, I would want my brother to have the same thing, if that makes sense.
Meaning, love for your brother what you love for yourself.
Yes, and let's say like we're going out to eat or something, and let's say there's a better taco. I don't know, it's a weird example, but give him the better taco. Or so this, I know it's kind of a weird example, but yeah.
Okay, that's great, mashallah. I got you. That was pretty clear. Okay, anybody else? Because it's time for adhan, so we'll pause for adhan. But I do want to make sure that we have time to finish the Ramadan action plan review. All right, let's go ahead and there's one more. For those that give their annual zakat during Ramadan, plan ahead for that. Yes, great point, Sister Linda. Jazakallah khair. Let's plan ahead for zakat now and not spend time planning during Ramadan. So basically to get ahead of it during Sha'ban. Yes, jazakallah khair. All right, I'm going to go ahead and review. The template should look similar to Islam. So meaning being Muslim. Increase La ilaha illallah and count or count of that and visualize questioning in my grave when Rabb is recited in Salah. For Iman or Mu'min. Learn one new name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala today and understand what it means. Then call on Allah with that name in my du'as. Number 3, devotion. Gain devotion to Allah by questioning at least one daily choice. Will this choice please Allah, and then act accordingly? Number 4, truthfulness. Be truthful in speech and action and only commit to what I know I can deliver and then deliver that truthfully. Number 5, humility. Be focused during my salat. Do more than just the motions, meaning be present with Allah. Don't just do the actions and just get it over with. Number 6, being charitable. Smile more. Remove hardship and obstacles. So again, this is just a template. It doesn't have to match this way 100%. But inshallah, I pray that this helps us get started down the right path for having a more beneficial and more refreshed Ramadan with our hearts and minds. It is time for adhan. So inshallah, I'm gonna go ahead and pause here for the adhan, and then we'll pray a little bit late, 7:35 instead of 7:30, just so that I give people enough time to reset for Salah. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute, and I'll come back on once the adhan is completed. الحمد لله أذان is done. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة محمد الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. All right, questions and answers. I know Brother Muhammad asked the question about the best act of devotion. I don't have a direct answer for that beyond my tips. Inshallah, I'll have to research that. But if there is any more questions, inshallah, please go ahead and ask them now. I'll stop taking questions, inshallah, 7:25. So 5 more minutes, inshallah. Sorry, 7:27. That would be, inshallah, 5 more minutes. Let's do it either on time or early because we don't want to. No questions? Khair, inshallah. If we don't have questions, that's fine. What I do want to share is what's happening, inshallah, next week. What are some of your specific Ramadan plans? I will, inshallah, share them with you, but I will give you a little bit of an overview, right? So for me specifically, I have to lead Taraweeh. That for me, Ramadan is a lot about the Quran because I have to review a lot. And what I intend to do, inshallah, is at least go over some of the meanings of what I will be reviewing, and kind of personify that and personalize that, like, you know, put myself in the picture of the ayah or ayats that are being recited, right? That's again, that ties into having a personal connection with the Quran. So that's one of my goals or plans, inshallah. And then, of course, obviously apply everything that I've been sharing with our audience. I have to do that for myself first before I can, you know, ask others to do it. But yeah, that's probably my specific Ramadan plans, is to engage with the Quran more. And I do want to share this just for today, and we'll inshallah elaborate next week, that we need volunteers to discuss the ayat that are going to be recited. So inshallah, our plan is that we're going to have Isha and then 4 rak'ahs of recitation. And then we're going to have a 10-minute break. In that 10-minute break, we need volunteers to actually discuss the ayat that were recited. And I'm opening that for both brothers and sisters. I actually have the list of ayat pretty much completed. Inshallah, I'll be sharing that in next week's presentation. So just go ahead and sign up on the Google spreadsheet when I have that, inshallah, available. It's not up yet. So I will, inshallah, share that with the team, and just go ahead and sign up to any day that you feel comfortable, inshallah, doing that, and we'll have that shared during the salah. I'm sorry, not during the salah, but during the break between the 8 rak'ahs. Can I share my daily breakdown of the Quran recitation that I will do for the month of Ramadan? Yes. Let me see if I can share that, if I have it up. 1 second. So I'm going to stop this share and bring up my Excel. All right, I'm going to share this. Give me a second. All right. So this is, again, this is a work in progress as far as the discussion, but I actually have it broken down by rak'ahs. And again, these are alternative, right? So this is night 1, rak'ahs 1 and 2. We're going to cover from Fatiha 1 to Baqarah 29. And then rak'ahs 3 and 4, Baqarah 30 to 61. Here's the time for the break. We're going to have a discussion on how to be from the muttaqeen. 5 through rak'ahs 5 and 6, Baqarah 58 to 76, 62 to 112 and 7 and 8. Shafa'ah is going to be again 4 pages, Baqarah 113 to 141, and Witr is going to be just 1 page. Right, so this is how, inshallah, we plan to complete the entire Quran. I'm going to put this up, inshallah, in this for next week. Are you able to at least take a glance at that, Sister Linda? All right. So it is time for Iqamah soon, inshallah. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap up with some reminders. Inshallah, next week, when the time changes, we're still going to meet between Maghrib and Isha on Zoom. And we'll be covering two groups of people. Actually, we'll just be covering one, which is as-Saimin wa as-Saimat, which is the fasting men and fasting women. And we'll be covering a lot of the usulul, or like, the requirements of fasting and things that nullify the fast and the rewards of fasting. We'll also have, inshallah, two guest speakers. We'll be having Sister Abrar Al-Jalafi, who is a trained physical trainer, and she'll be talking about how to maintain healthy habits during Ramadan. We'll also have Brother Faisal Shahid talking about maintaining workouts and a healthy diet during Ramadan for the brothers. So that's the plan, inshallah, for next week. Jazakumullahu khair. Inshallah, we're going to pray Isha now. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير. Inshallah, see you all next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.